Hello and welcome. This is James Blanchard Cisneros at your service. Today I will be reading the October 29th Facebook post and making a few comments on it, and I trust that it will assist both of us on our journeys. Here we go. Negative emotions do not make us less spiritual. Today we gift ourselves permission to feel negative emotions without being made to feel bad or less spiritual by the ego for doing so. We do this not with the intention of hurting others, but the intention of healing ourselves. The only emotions we can truly heal are those we allow ourselves to feel. We are here together with our sisters and brothers to work through these illusionary barriers, blocks, to the awareness of the presence of love within. Because we are of use, because they are of use to help us return to our natural state, see the process that you're going through as a gift you are offering yourselves and others to help you heal. Today we practice letting go of our program attachment to self-judgment. Instead, we offer gratitude for all of our emotions, with the understanding that it is because of them that we will end up becoming the complete expression of our true nature. Today we will give ourselves permission to feel negative emotions. Now, on average, I would say that the ego has a lot of desire to make us feel unworthy for feeling negative emotions, to make us feel not spiritual enough, not good enough, not wise enough, if we delve into the energy of negative emotions. And why is that? Because if we actually start to feel these negative emotions, and then and only then do we start to realize them for what they are. Then and only then do we start to heal them and ourselves. But you see, the ego doesn't want you to heal yourself. It wants you to perceive yourself as a negative being, as somebody who's not very spiritual, as somebody who's not very wise. And why is this? Because the ego knows that if you think of yourself as this, as the ego's definition of you, then you will say to yourself, there's absolutely no way that God's source and I can be connected to each other. For how can I feel or be not spiritual, not wise, or not good enough, and still be part of God? And so you see, what the ego doesn't want you to see is that these are illusions. These negative emotions are actually illusions you're holding about yourself. You have been taught these negative emotions. They are not truly an eternal part of you. The truth of who you are is love, and its expressions such as kindness, generosity, forgiveness, peace, joy. That's your true nature. Now, throughout time, we have been programmed by the ego and by the ego system, by our parents, our peers, society, etc., to buy into these ideas, and they are simply ideas. And they have reinforced these ideas within our minds. And we have seen our parents, our peers, reacting in this manner. And so we thought this is simply just the way life is. This is the way we're supposed to participate with each other. And so we do. And so we learn from them. And so we practice our learning over and over again until it seems to become second nature, until we actually forget that we actually learned these illusions, that these illusions are not truly part of us, that we simply have learned them, that it's simply a bad habit, something that was repeated over and over again And in the fog of the ego, it got lost as to where it came from. And now we think it came from us. It did not come from us. Negative emotions are not us. But equally, there's nothing wrong with negative emotions. Because negative emotions are simply an illusion. And there's nothing wrong with illusions. For we will need to feel illusions in an illusionary world to figure out that they are truly not us. And so, let us see these negative emotions as a gift we are offering ourselves. The ego will love us to use self-judgment on ourselves and judge others for negative emotions. Because if we're judging others, then we're obviously separating ourselves from them, and the ego can have us to itself. If we're judging ourselves, then we're obviously separating ourselves from our true selves, from God's source, and therefore the ego can still have us to itself. For it is then the ego and us against God's source or our brothers and sisters. And so today we will not judge ourselves for negative emotions. We will give ourselves permission to feel whatever it is we feel. Whatever it is you're feeling is okay. You're simply figuring out that the illusion is not real. And so you will experience the illusion long enough for you to see that it's not real. And so that self-judgment, and that judgment of others for having negative emotions towards others, the ego would have you judge not only yourself but others for being part of a process that made you judge yourself as having negative emotions. Because it's blaming the outside world for those negative emotions. It's blaming your brothers and sisters for the negative emotions. And so it does this for a reason that we have before talked about, which is the ego always wants you to blame the outside world. For if the blame lies in the outside world, then obviously the outside world has control over you. And therefore you cannot do anything but simply defend yourself with the ego against the world. And obviously the world will be attacking you every single day according to the ego's thinking. And so you will need the ego every day to defend yourself, to make sure you're safe, to make sure that your thought system is safe, because your thought system is you according to the ego. This illusionary thought system that the ego has prepared for you and has taught you or programmed into you that it is you, that you must defend, or else if you do not defend it, then it is attacked and it is punished and it is destroyed. And if it's destroyed, you're destroyed. But what it's really not saying to you is that if it's destroyed, the ego's destroyed. And so every step we take, every illusionary step we take on our journey, every time we have a negative emotion, let us understand what happens. Because we can only be, let's take an example of anger. We can only be angry so many times before we figure out, wait, this is just not, do not feel right doing this. I do not feel good doing this. I do not feel aligned with myself doing this. And so every step, every negative emotion on that journey helped you get closer to a place where you decided that this negative illusion was not you. This negative emotion was not you. And so let us give gratitude and give ourselves a pat on the back for experiencing those negative emotions. Because the more we do, the more we will figure out that we do not need them. The more we do, the more we will figure out we do not want to judge our brothers and sisters. The more we do, we will not try to blame the world, and we will look within ourselves for the true answer. For the answer and all answers are already within you. It is simply waiting for the question to be asked. All answers are already within you. Because you are an extension of God's source. And God's source is all-knowing. And therefore you have all the answers within you now. Simply awaiting for the questions to be asked. Simply awaiting for you to remove the blocks the illusions, the negative emotions that are not really you. And when you do this, when you start seeing that these negative emotions, these illusions of the ego are not real, little by little you become a teacher in this world. And you're able to teach your brothers and sisters through your example that negative emotions, such as the anger example we talked about before, are not real. And when people see that you're not reacting in an angrily manner towards a brother and sister or towards the world for X or Y or Z reason, then they will start to notice that you have a peace within yourself that they also desire for themselves. That they look at their lives and they see, wait, I do not want this anger. I prefer peace instead of anger. I prefer forgiveness instead of judgment. I prefer self-love instead of self-judgment. And so you become this light to your brothers and sisters, and they will notice your light. And they will ask you how you got to your light. And this makes the ego very afraid, because the ego is fear itself. But fear itself is simply an illusion, because love is all. And there's no opposite to all. Yes, in the illusionary world, there is opposites. But in truth, there is no fear. There is no illusion. It's simply a game we've chosen to play for a little while. But no matter how great the game seems, even to children, sooner or later those children get tired of even the funnest games for them. And so today, let us not judge ourselves. God's source has no interest in judgment. And the truth within you does not want to judge itself or yourself. And you will see that when you're judging yourself, it just doesn't feel right. But many times we have to judge ourselves over and over again to finally figure out, this is not how I want to live. This is not the expression I came here to express and to become an example of. And so today, let us just simply shine our light bright. For that is what we have come here to do. Negative emotions are fine. Wherever you are in your journey is perfect for you. For you and God's source have put in place the perfect journey for you. And maybe, in the example of anger, maybe if anger is an issue that we have, maybe we came here to teach the release of anger. But it's only because we went through that anger that we now can become teachers of the release of anger. Maybe because we went through judgment and self-judgment, we now can, with the peace that we now have obtained, can teach others that self-judgment is not real. The self-judgment is only useful in the illusion for a very short period of time before you simply tire of its result. Thank you very much for your time. I love you very much. If you'd be so kind as to like, comment, or share the video, it would help with the listening process, and it might help somebody find this video someday. If you would like to leave me a question or comment, I would be delighted to try and offer a response. And if you can please subscribe to my YouTube videos, I would love to have you in this community. Again, thank you for your time. I love you very much, and God willing, we will see each other tomorrow. Peace.